Howdy friends, Bluesboy Jag here. This is what I call a distressed cigar box guitar. It has a lot of nicks and scratches and dents. This is the natural wood. There's no finish on this. This is an old cigar box. And it looks like it. This has got a dual humbucker. Those screws are the pull pieces, volume control, wire frets, just like you'd find on a Gretsch or a Fender or Gibson, red oak neck, fret markers, and cranked all the way up with a glass slide. Sounds like playing with my fingers. Now I've got the bass about halfway up, so I'm going to turn the bass all the way up. It's got a nice full sound, and this little amp here is a single speaker, so it's not a super fat sound through this amp. But with the humbucker in the middle position here, if you plug this into, say, a dual 10 or 12 inch speaker amp, of course you'd want to have a tube amp to get the optimum sound, in my opinion. You will have an unbelievable sound. This guitar is probably the best sounding one I've ever made. I've made about 2,000, a little over 2,000 of them since 2005, and this one just has a killer sound. Really, really bright, but it also has nice mid-range and low end at the same time. So it's pretty cool. You can do a lot of different things when you set your volume to about 7, 8, 9, or 10 on one of these little amps, and then turn your volume down. And then when you want to really crank it, you crank it all the way up. So you can see it has kind of that bright, almost like a Strat sound, maybe a little bit of a Telecaster tone. And that's because I have the amp set, I've got the treble all the way up. Now if I wanted to bring the bass up and bring the treble down just a little bit, you can get more of a mid-rangey, more of a bass sound. it also has a sound hole here, so I'm going to turn the amp all the way down. So it makes a great, what I call, living room amp. You can practice on this guitar without making a whole lot of noise. Don't have to plug it into an amp if you don't want to. But this is just, if I do say so myself, an amazing tone on this guitar. Especially when you crank it up through a nice tube amp. I mean, unbelievable. Just as smooth as butter. And you can crank it and play some rock and roll. You can turn it down a little bit, play some jazz out of this. I mean, for all intents and purposes, folks, this is a Gibson or a Fender sounding guitar, depending on how you set up the volume on the guitar and, of course, whatever amp you use. But I highly, highly recommend getting a tube amp. You will not believe how good they sound if you've never used a tube amp before. And I'm sure you've heard people talking about them. Oh, man, you gotta get a tube amp to really take advantage of the tone of these things. Really unbelievable. Foot stompers, and I make amps out of the small cigar boxes. I make a electric washboard, suitcase bass drums. I also make a cigar box guitar, which is a bass and guitar combination. It has one bass string up on top, 3 guitar strings. When you play that sucker with a slide, you're playing the bass at the same time you're playing the guitar. So you slide to an A chord on the guitar, you're sliding to, guess what, an A note on the bass. 2 separate outs, one goes to the bass amp, one goes to the guitar amp. Unbelievable sound. And of course, you know, your bass player is really tight with you, so you don't have to hire a bass player. So all this stuff is at jagshouse.com.